get started. In true Coronado fashion, people arrived late, so we are going to be recording this. So as I was telling some of our presenters that most of our neighbors get the information via our recorded sessions, so don't be dissuaded by the population in the crowd. So we've got a pretty full agenda today. There we go. Small edit, Eric, our treasurer, is not going to be able to join us tonight, so we're going to get rid of the treasurer report. Charles is not here, but we've got him stand in, I guess. Okay. What?
Andrew.
Andrew, sorry, yes. Andrew's going to talk to us about Phoenix Modern School. It's a new, I didn't explain it. So. We have our Miracle Mile Spotlight back again, so our Melissa is here. Sally's going to talk to us about that. They are in the Trellis building? Is that
yes,
right?
we are.
Very good. And then our friends at Banner Good Sam are going to give us an update specifically on 10th Street, and this is a response to some of the feedback we got in the last meeting that we're trying to dissuade people from going through our neighborhood, so that'll be good. And then Miguel is here, so Miguel, here he is. Just a quick Q&A goings on at Laura Pastora's office, or any questions you have for him that you can take back to the councilwoman. We'll do that. So, first up, Phoenix Modern.
Okay.
Ignore Charlie.
No, don't ignore Charlie. He's a good person. Great. Thank you. Oh, I do. Good. Cool. Nice. Great. Well, my name's Andrew. I'm the founding director for Phoenix Modern. We're a very unique new charter school that's opening at 3rd Street in Mitchell. So, very close from here. We're opening with K-5, but we do things very differently. If you think about the world in the last 2 decades, it's dramatically changed. But if you look at education in the last 150, 200 years, it hasn't changed that much. And so it's built on a very different era, an industrial era that in many cases still employs a very factory model of education. A lot of amazing things are happening in many classrooms in many schools. But we had this great opportunity to be able to take the best research, everything that we know that is embedded in child development and neuroscience, what we know as educators and as parents, and design a space which is really a community, a learning community for children between kindergarten and ultimately through 8th grade, to endeavor into discovery and exploration in a way that's personalized and flexible and meets their needs, that incorporates their own interests and values as a human being. As we start first with the respect as humans, and that they bring a lot as citizens to the table in governing and directing their own education. And as well-intentioned and meaningful adults, we come alongside them as guides to support them on this journey of discovery and creation. We also know that, so just as kind of a one-liner there, as we think about it, in much of education, it becomes very passive, where you think about a lot of your education, and this is still true today. We sit in a chair, it looks like this. Where you're sitting, you're mostly listening. I'm giving you information right now. That's not the best form of learning. But if you got to go out and explore and discover, if you walked around the building at Phoenix Modern, and then you started to ask questions, and we were able to respond to you with those questions, then you'd start to internalize a lot more and make a lot more sense to you. Right? And so we want children to be proactive in their learning. They explore, they create, and they ultimately are preparing for an entire world and a lifetime of possibility. And they see themselves at the center of that possibility, but not as in a selfish way, but saying that I have the opportunity as a change maker to make an impact in this world. And so we know that that means that we can't just focus on academics in isolation. And so for us, one of the major differences for us is we take a very holistic approach to this experience for children. We've developed framework and experiences and language around social and emotional development, of course, all of the content knowledge areas, cognitive growth, so making your thinking visible, what's actually happening in the process of thinking, as well as wayfinding. And we think in a very complex, uncertain world, wayfinding is incredibly important. How do you navigate resources? How do you filter through them? How do you ask for help? How do you go into different contexts at different times of your life, different stages of your life, and know how to collaborate with other people, know how to filter through those resources? So collectively, all of those frameworks is how you see progression of skills and mindsets in children throughout their experience in Phoenix Modern. And the adults and parents and families come alongside of children in this journey. This is our building at 3rd Street in Midland. Maybe you've seen it as you drive by. If you ever drive at 3rd Street, it looks like this spaceship that's on top of stilts. That entire middle floor there becomes our primary and elementary studios. And so imagine those windows, because it's true, they go all the way around the building, and you get a ton of natural light. And all of our studio spaces, so a little vocabulary difference for us. Instead of boring classrooms, they're dynamic, changing studios where children engage in a world of discovery and making sense of that world. All of that natural light comes into those studio spaces, and they're large studio spaces, and they're mixed ages. So they're building empathy and leadership and be able to connect with children that might be a year younger or a year older. It also gives them the opportunity to stay with their teacher, whom we call a guide in this journey for them, multiple years, so they get to know each other really well. In the middle of that floor is a big open space we call a hub. So there's a lot of community gathering and friendships that are built there. They might be eating. We give them a good amount of time for eating and free time to be able to make those friendship connections. All that being said, as valuable as exploration and discovery, making sense of the world, and building those soft skills, and developing socially and emotionally, we also know that they're going to leave our space very competent learners. We have a mastery-based system. So instead of getting 70% over 70%, 70%, and like pass, the reality is you have big gaps over big gaps over big gaps. And then you get to high school and you want to drop out, you're really frustrated, and you're like, I'm not good at math. Well, the reality is, because you never mastered it. You just haven't mastered it yet. And so everything we do is developing a growth mindset in the children. And so that they're working towards mastery. When they earn that mastery, we celebrate that. We give them a badge. And it says, you've mastered this level. Now let's work on the next level. So in theory, they can go through 3 levels in a year if they want to, or they can slow down. They go faster in math and slower in reading, right? And so it values them in the process, where they're at, what they need, and we curate, equip them with the resources that they need to reach that level of mastery. But those are learning a ton by doing. They're doing work, tons of hands-on, engaging projects that string multiple weeks. We call them quests, right? And in their core skill time, it's personalized. So they're engaging in hands-on materials, dialogue with their peers, coaching conversations with their guide. And as they get older, they start to incorporate some technology, and they're getting differentiated lessons that are on their level, and they're able to move really fast as they need to, or go slower. So we incorporated, really like a chef, the essence of all of the best ingredients around child development. If you think about what Maria Montessori discovered when she was observing children, Loris Malaguzzi in Italy when they were discovering what children need after World War II, to some of the best educators in the last couple of decades of the research that they're telling us around child development, bringing it into a master design with a very, very strong, experienced team that comes into the space and pours into families. And this is what's really important for me to speak with you guys, because this is really a community endeavor. We've initiated this. I'm the founding director, but we have a founding body of people that are then welcoming a founding group of children. And we're going to pour into them over the coming years as they grow in this journey, ultimately serving through a level 8 and equipping them to move on to the next step of their journey with a sense of confidence and passion as learners who understand they can grow in their skills and their knowledge, and they can be an active player in that endeavor rather than sitting passively, which I apologize you're doing right now, right? And listening, which is not that much fun, right? If you go to our website, you'll see our 4 big pillars, and I'll summarize this as wonder, joy, love, and growth. And all those words mean something different to each one of you, and you can read on our website what it means to us in our blog. But wonder, a sense of curiosity and sense-making in this world, right? Love around relationships, a sense of belonging, it's meaningful. Joy, because learning is fun when you actually can play an active role in it, when you make a discovery that's new to you, you're like, wow, that was great. Even when you go through diligent practice, and you come to this aha moment, great. And then the last one is growth. That journey, that process is way more important than these stringent outcomes that end up, I think, sucking the life out of children. They will get those outcomes, believe me, they'll be extremely competent learners, but focusing on that journey, the process, so they fall in love with learning. I put some information in the back, I got 30 seconds, so you have, there's a little flyer, and then some more information in the back. You guys are welcome to take that. My name's Andrew. You can reach me at andrew@phoenixmodern.org, and our website is just phoenixmodern.org. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Andrew. And Sally, you're up.
Thank you very much.
everybody. My name is Sally Branch, and I am a native of Arizona. So I had to bring something native to us. So we have some hot tamales in the back of the room for you. And then we have some fans. If you're a little bit warm for the ladies, there's also some in the back of the room. Trellis, I can see the sign on McDowell. It used to be Neighborhood Housing Services. We've been there for over 4 decades. And our mission is to provide homeownerships to our communities. So what you see up here is a one-day class that we do for different communities that need to get home ownership. We do first-time home buyers, but we also do loans for all people that walk in that need a loan. So if you need a loan, you want to refinance, we can certainly help you with that. If you have a son or daughter that's looking to get credit ready, we can do that in this class. As a matter of fact, one of our neighbors here was able to come and help us. Eddie was able to come out and be our realtor expert for the day and talk to the community about home ownership. And what we do is we get you mortgage ready. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer to go to one of these classes. You can come in, learn, and find out all the great things about home ownership. What Trellis did is they created a social enterprise called Arborist. Arborist means trees, and we want to stay firmly planted in the community and grow and help Trellis sustain ourselves. So when you do business with Trellis, Arborist, you're helping serve the community, and you are recognized on our wall as a contributor if you're a realtor or a home buyer or somebody who's refinancing. In the dispatch that I received this month, there's an article in here by Joel Contreras. Did y'all see it? It's in the back about, kind of improving what you should consider when remodeling your historic home. We want to maintain the beauty of Coronado, and it is gorgeous. It's just wonderful to work with you at your different events. But when you want to invest in your investment, please call us. We can help. We have renovation loans, and we can go ahead and get involved with you, guide you through the process of renovating and updating your property as you see fit, and still within the scheme in life that we want to maintain here in Coronado. So rates are about 4%, very, very low, and that's for purchases or refinances. If you haven't checked your credit in a while, please call me. I'll be happy to pull a credit report for you and review that with you. But the most important thing is to always, when you're out getting business, is try to go local. We're local, we're here, we're ready to help, and everything that you do benefits our communities. So rates again are very low. We have discounts for our Coronado community. So if you'd like to have a quote, or you just want to see what your credit looks like, no charge, consultative, not hard sell, please call me. My cards are at the back of the room. Questions? All right, thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Sally. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. 15 people, I guess, are going to. Only 2 are going to talk.
Good evening. My name is Larry Lazarus. I'm an attorney, land use attorney, that's representing Banner on this particular project. With me today is Steve Ice, who is the project executive. Just raise your hand. John Niselek, who's the architect. John's back there, he's hiding. Traffic engineer Seth Chalmers, right here, and he will be discussing this. And Michelle Green, who is our land use plan. We met with you February of last year, but I do want to, and we went through the land plan, but I want to briefly talk a little bit about the land plan, just to give you the sense of where we are before we talk about the traffic configuration, reconfiguration that we're doing, as well as the pedestrian orientation, both of which are important for you to hear again and show the changes that we made. So, as we discussed last time, the campus is changing. It's going to be changing over the next 40 years to meet demands of the society and the never-changing technology that's occurring in healthcare. If you take, it's a fast-paced evolution. Things are changing within the organization as well as within healthcare. And so we have come up with a planned unit development concept that we're looking at the future. All buildings and improvements that are existing or have already received approval from the city are depicted in gray for you. McDowell Road is located obviously on the top of the slide. The buildings and parking garages depicted in blue are areas of proposed expansion and new development. They include 2 new medical office buildings and 2 parking garages east of 12th Street, 2 additional hospital towers, in addition to the one that has just been built, for the development of the core of the campus that will address inpatient care. The other 2 garages are proposed on the south and the west sides of the campus. And then there will be an expansion of the recently opened Banner MD Anderson Cancer Center, also located in kind of the upper left-hand corner. Because we're here to discuss traffic and pedestrian, I want to point out that the land use plan has shifted the main entrance from 12th Street to now along McDowell, and creates an improved, and we've created an improved internal circulation with the medical campus. Right now, under the existing layout of the campus, it requires drivers to exit 12th, go on to McDowell, and then come back around to 10th to actually get to a different part of the campus. We will have a ring road internally to the campus, which will improve the traffic along McDowell and help the surrounding community as well. I want to briefly walk through the layout and the function and design of the campus so you can get a sense of what we're trying to achieve here. For the most part, the campus has 3 major sections. The center of the campus, in the area in blue, is dedicated to inpatient care. This is where the new hospital tower has just been built and where the new two new towers will be built in the future. The east and west sides of the campus are predominantly for outpatient care. They're in green, and they will be things like specialized care, cancer care, Alzheimer's care, and those kinds of things. The south end of the campus is set aside for infrastructure. So these support services will be on the south side, away from McDowell. There would be deliveries, ambulance routes, central plant, and those functions, as I say, on the south. So the outpatient functions that will be added to the campus as we go through the next 40 years will be added in the green area, inpatient, and in the blue area. Let me go to the next slide. This slide depicts the existing internal intersections and cross sections of the campus. For example, employees park in lot P, you'll see that, and D, which are outlined in yellow solid lines, and then they will park there and travel to their destinations within the campus. Pedestrian employee pathways will exist to easily get employees from the campus to their particular areas in the central building. The ambulance route is located as shown in red, the red solid lines. They will be using 12th Street and 10th Street in order to connect to the ER entrance off of Coronado. The pedestrian traffic is discouraged along Coronado due to the emergency and delivery vehicles that will occur at that location. The two don't mix very well, as you might imagine. Visitor parking areas and routes are depicted in blue. And as you can see, the parking areas for visitors are dispersed throughout the campus in close proximity to the buildings that they want to go to. I want to emphasize that a healthcare campus is not a college campus. One of the many differences between a college campus designed to promote walking and students to move from class to class and are spread out over large areas, that's not what we're trying to achieve. What we want to do is try to design a campus that minimizes the need for walking, so you can park very close to the building that you want to go to, and you're not walking substantially through this large campus. The next slide shows the pedestrian access flows to the campus. Now this is for the neighborhood, and we talked about how you walk through the campus. It's demonstrated on this slide. In other words, pedestrians from the neighborhood and the community wishing to cross the campus are encouraged to do so by pedestrian routes. Banner will be implementing deliberate modifications to the road and landscape private internal roads are frequently traveled by emergency vehicles, delivery trucks, semi-tractor trailers, and therefore walkways we want to have on public streets as opposed to those streets that don't have continuity or the safety of pedestrians. McDowell Road, since our last discussion, we took a few questions about, well, what's McDowell Road going to look like? And it's a throughway, it's dangerous, and we did some reconfiguration. So since meeting with you, we tried to respond to some of the concerns along McDowell. For instance, we have a detached sidewalk. Instead of having a sidewalk directly along McDowell Road, it'll be detached with landscaping between the roadway itself and the sidewalk. The streetscape will include 2-inch caliber trees planted 15 feet on center along the detached sidewalk, so that not only will the trees be shading, but the sidewalk itself will be further away from the roadway. By the way, the C2 standards are 20 feet on center, we're going to do 15 feet on center. We want more continuous shade canopy that will exist in more mature trees. So now I'm going to turn this over to Seth. Dibble Engineering is going to talk to you about the changes that were made in traffic configuration to keep the traffic out of the neighborhoods. That was the big issue last time we came through. Thank you.
I think Larry did a good job of setting up the overall plan for the campus, and what I'm going to concentrate on my talk is the changes we're proposing for 10th Street and McDowell. But before I do that, I want to tell you that I do have a connection to Coronado neighborhood. I was born at Good Samaritan Hospital, and my dad went to North High in 1937, so I know the neighborhood. So anyway, as Larry was saying, they're switching the entire front of the hospital over to 10th and McDowell, with the main entrance being off of McDowell. But there is going to be a lot of people exiting the campus on 10th Street. So with the new patient tower and emergency room in that area, we have the new cancer center, shifting of the main entrance, so that's going to increase the traffic or the demand for traffic at 10th and McDowell. Talked about the main lobby. So the concentration will be vehicles there. So as you know, there's an existing signal that the city of Phoenix has there at 10th and McDowell. So there's a heavy demand for left outs and right outs. So Banner is going to be constructing a dedicated right turn lane and then also a double left turn lane there. So we have to make those accommodations to better account for that turning traffic, especially the left turn traffic. So what we're proposing is eliminate the north and south through movement at the intersection only. And I'll give you some examples that the city has done on that in just a minute. But this is just kind of an aerial view of the existing 10th and McDowell Road. Northbound and southbound through vehicle traffic is light even at peak times. The southbound direction is about 12 vehicles in the peak hour, which peak hour is usually around 8 o'clock in the morning and then 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Interesting enough, the northbound traffic is around 92 vehicles. So there's a little bit of a sign that there is traffic going north there. Pedestrian and bike movements will still be allowed. So there will be a bike path through the intersections, and there will be crosswalks on both sides. So it's all only about vehicle traffic. It's not about pedestrians and bicyclists. And what's very important, it will provide a great, good access for people leaving the campus left and right, not only for existing traffic in the way it is now, but for future growth at the hospital. And additionally, if you go around the campus, there's plenty of alternative routes. Larry was talking about the internal circulating roads, so the campus will be able to contain its own traffic within itself without having to go back out to McDowell or 12th or 7th. But even then, there's lots of good access into the campus itself, especially off of 7th Street and the freeway. So by eliminating the through movement only at the intersection, I want to make sure everybody understands that we're not eliminating through movements on 10th, but just at the intersection. So it severs the campus from the neighborhood to the north. So that is a traffic calming technique that's done a lot by the cities throughout the U.S. And in particular here in Phoenix. If you're familiar with Indian School and 48th and Arcadia Drive, they've severed, there used to be the old Prospect Canal. There used to be a lot of cut-through traffic between Indian School and Camelback that went right through that neighborhood. So the way the city dealt with that is they cut that access off. So they put this little island out in the middle, and so you can only go left and right. Another place, and this is a different issue, this is up at Paradise Valley High School. A lot of times when you have high left turning traffic, that's kind of an unbalanced demand. Usually the through movement is the dominant movement. But at 10th and McDowell, that's not the case. It's a turning movement. And when you're having a lot of vehicles turn left, that requires a little bit more time, a little more lanes to deal with. The rule of thumb in traffic engineering is 2 seconds per vehicle. So typically, of course, the person in front takes a little longer to get going, but after that, and especially if they're looking at their phone, and they realize that they're getting the green arrow, but after that, it's about 2 seconds a vehicle. And we've tried a lot in traffic engineering, but we can only get 60 seconds in a minute. So that shows you another place where the city has done that. Now here's just a little bit of an overview of what the new intersection is going to look like. You can see coming from the south, you have a dedicated left and right turns. Now I have two things to do. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle talking and doing this at the same time. So here it's the dedicated left and the dedicated right. And then from the south, I guess I should just advance my slides here. We'll still have complete access into both sides off of McDowell, so right ins, right outs, left ins. So the only place we're restricting is that through movement. So dedicated left turn lanes and right turn lanes on the south side, so that's going to provide good service for the hospital. Dedicated single left turn lane and right turn lane on the north side, and traffic's really light on that. It's just mostly just local trips. Again, pedestrians and bikes can still go through both north and south. Any questions, concerns, or comments? Yes, ma'am.
I really think this is a really creative solution. So I'm generally in favor of it. My only concern is 10th Street, that 10th Street intersection. People from our neighborhood go through that intersection on bikes because that's where the pedestrian bridge is to the south of that. And I know that turning movements and bikes in intersections can be an issue. Are there any things that you would be doing to promote bike safety for those folks straight across the intersection?
Well, on the south side, there will be a dedicated a bike lane that goes through.
Do you have like a button at the curb that bikes can press it to get the light to switch?
No, there is going to be dedicated access, right?
Yeah, there will be crosswalks. The City of Phoenix provides 15-foot crosswalks. Anytime you have an intersection, there's always conflicts. When you have turning, the right hook is a very, touchy thing when you're a bicyclist, and usually you're the one that has to be proactive on that instead of the driver.
I just wondered if it would be possible, since you're making improvements to the intersection anyway, to put one of those posts out at the bike lanes that they can have control of the crossing lane thing.
As an alternate suggestion, maybe one of the magnetic loops in the bike lane, which is text bicycles.
No, and that's a good point. A lot of the cities have started to come in with little bike boxes where you can get the dedicated time on it. And the city of Phoenix is going to that. They call it non-invasive detection, where you see the video cameras up there. And what's really good about that, you don't have to do a physical improvement to provide for that detection for bikes and eventually pedestrians. You use a video, and they can program the video machines to actually pick up bicyclists as well as eventually pedestrians. So, you know, there's a big change in the industry in traffic control, and it's called dynamic control, which the controllers and the detection and all the systems, and they're getting very affordable now. So you're seeing them like City of Phoenix and a lot of the cities picking that technology up, where prior to that, it was more expensive and difficult to maintain. So now it's more virtual. So that's a good point. And again, if you have some specifics that you want to offer us on this, we're all ears.
So is the city paying for the intersection, or is the development?
Banner is paying for the intersection.
So as far as like the upgrades, as far as technology, the cameras, pedestrian detection cameras and the lights and all that, would be an upgrade for you?
Yes. If you look at the existing signal now, it's the cabinet's been upgraded recently, but the poles are 25, 30 years old, and so it's done good service, and now it's time to upgrade it.
Yeah, the far south end of the campus, 10th Street leads into a bridge, a pedestrian bridge that a lot of individuals use to travel southward towards the downtown area, specifically in Roosevelt. I personally, and I know a lot of neighbors would like to see more friendly curving towards the entrance of that bridge. So the far south end of 10th Street, it's just a hard curve that kind of rounds that.
So more liberal use of a ramp.
A ramp, exactly, yeah. If you could just.
Again, if you want to take pictures exactly of what you.
We could send you something.
You're just looking for a curb cut to get up onto the side.
Instead of roll, right? Is it a roll curve right now, or is it?
No, there.
It's probably the old 14-inch.
Correct. So it makes it just not very accommodating as a bicycle rider to kind of maneuver yourself onto the sidewalk. I think approximately about 100 yards prior to the entrance of the bridge. Otherwise, you're having to stop completely right over there.
Yeah, we can look at that.
That'd be wonderful. We really appreciate that.
Do you know, have there been any kind of studies indicating that some of these kinds of modifications actually might slow traffic driving northbound on Hunt Street?
They're not going to go through
They
anymore.
can't go.
We're stopping them from going in your neighborhood.
So you don't think it's going to be increasing at all? It really should stay whatever the same.
No, it completely eliminates.
You will
Just
have
cutting across.
cutting across will be zero
Right.
coming into Coronado.
I was just curious to know if this modification at all,
From the
if anybody
south
is
side.
turning, as someone who lives on 10th Street, we have a lot of people speeding, I was curious to know, as a side benefit, if there's any kind of studies that showing that it actually might slow it.
Well, based on the data we collected, it's in the peak hour of July, you'll lose 92 vehicles that you usually have gotten. So that's good. If you're on 10th, that.
Yeah, so I think if your question was, is it gonna do anything for people who are turning, who are heading west on McDowell, turning right onto 10th Street? I don't think it will.
Right.
But we have 92 cars during peak hour coming from our campus into your neighborhood, and those will all be gone.
So when you said the
And
92
91
before, that
of them
was
were
coming
speeders.
just
And we're gonna
strictly
get rid of
from,
them.
got it, okay, I didn't
And they're
understand
probably
that.
people leaving work when I get home.
Well, you know, on 12th Street, you already have some traffic calming, like the roundabout, the four-way stops, the speed tables. You have some speed humps on some of the east-west streets. You know, those are, in terms of neighborhood speeding, those are some of the best techniques to slow people down. But of course, you have to drive over those in your own neighborhood, so you know it's kind of a give and take on neighborhood speeds. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Is there any, going back to the McDowell landscape plan, I think the intent is to provide more immediate shade, but putting 20 to 24 foot diameter trees, 15 feet OC is going to be premature favor. Secondly, you indicated you had Palo Brea on the palette, which is a heavily bored plant with a decurrent growth structure. It's going to be pruned to death to keep it off the sidewalk. So we're going to have a lot of mid-term and long-term failure with a short-term, great-looking tree palette.
So I'll speak for our landscape architect. The reason we're going 2-inch caliper 15 on center is because they're going to grow together.
at a rate so that we don't have those failures. That's the reason we went to that, and we went to a closer spacing. As far as the path, I can't remember what the tree is on McDowell Road. And I'm the architect and I've worked with the tech for a while. I told them no thorns in parking lots or where people walk. I don't know if there's thorn trees on McDowell Road.
Palo Brea is a forest species.
Well, that's a green symbol. I got to make sure that symbol's right. We have Palo Brea, but I don't know if those are on McDowell Road.
And I can tell you, as a certified arborist, somebody's a 23-year veteran
Sure.
of landscape management and planting trees closer together. Short-term, great-looking landscape, medium and long-term tree planting. And think about when you do space planting, you don't plan so
I understand.
much closer together.
And we could put you in touch with our landscape architect, because all I can do is tell you what he teaches me.
You're asking for public feedback. not
Sure,
private.
sure, it's fine.
You should like the experts to talk to the experts.
Yep.
I just would like to see those trees there in 40 years.
Okay, any other questions?
And I'm sitting
I think that was it.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much. And last but not least, certainly, Miguel is here to, if I can get this thing to work. I reached out to Laura Passport's office just to give us sort of a state of the union and be available for any questions you guys might have. So it's something I'd like to do more frequently, just so we can get a path of communication going. So, Miguel, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Hi, I'm Miguel Medrano, suffering from allergies, as you saw that dust cloud over our city today. I am the new Chief of Staff for Council District 4, Laura Pastor's office. I've been the Chief of Staff now going on my 4th month, almost my 4th month. So I don't have a state of the union of interest to give you guys today. But I did want to share a bit of my experience so far as the Chief of Staff to kind of get a sense of what we've been working on, right? It's a really exciting time for the city of Phoenix. I'm a combat vet. I was in the military and retired. And when I left the Valley of the Sun and I left the city of Phoenix, it was a much, much different place. Where I was raised, nearly nothing is the same. I don't even recognize the city that I left. And so it's an exciting time for our city, but it's also one that has to be really, really structured and one we have to be very, very careful. I see that now more than ever in this role. The third year in a row that more people have moved to the city of Phoenix than any other place in the country. So what does that mean for our city? That means traffic, problems with pedestrian safety, transportation issues, parking issues. I don't have to tell you guys, I don't even mind reading it to you. We have some incredible challenges coming our way. And as much as it's, when I talk to the city staff, and many of you work with a lot of different city staff, they're incredible. Some of the best people in their field work really well with our communities, and really the professionals, the best people who know the information about what they're doing. And sometimes when we think about what we have to do for our city, it seems like it could be so much easier if we just made decisions and did some stuff, right? And so we have these different issues that we deal with the different neighborhoods and communities, and it seems like it's a real struggle. Like everybody has different points of view, and people have different concerns. Everybody's priorities are different, and some people's most important topics, which are super important, are not everybody's. But I can tell you that at the end of the day, what I've noticed even in my short time here, at the end of the day, our projects are better because of all the different voices that are involved. And because of the professionals involved and how involved our communities are, our projects are better for all our different experiences and talents. And so as difficult as it can be to work through some of these processes, like Michael and I were trying to find a fire hydrant, which apparently costs $100,000.
You guys did it?
Yeah, we did do it. But there's a lot of moving parts that go along with this, and it's exciting to be a part of this. I come from the world of politics. I worked in the United States Senate. There's nothing like working in municipal politics, local politics, because I can look out our window and see the work that we're doing, that we're a part of. political world, it's so easy to get involved with the, the people who are on TV because they're pretty famous and everybody's really, really focused on them. But there's really nothing more important than your own neighborhood and your own community, and really being able to focus on those things. You can really see the things matter to me, because it's the difference between very important things like clean air or not, or clean water or kind of clean water, making it to work on time, how safe it is when your kids are walking to school. So I feel really blessed to be able to come home to my hometown after having been in the military for so long and working in other parts of the country, to be home and to, like, I think I was telling Michael when they were doing the dedication of the McDowell Archway. I came from a big family, so it's going to sound ridiculous, but I would sometimes ride in the back of a truck to visit my grandparents here in Phoenix and be laying down in the back of the bed. Totally unsafe, nobody should do that, I know. But I remember seeing the arch when I was a kid, when I was like 9 or 10 years old, and I would ask my parents, what is it? And we had made up, so we would always talk about what it was, like, this is a military thing or some kind of antenna, there was some kind of big celebration, there was a celebration, and what it meant, and to be, working in the District 4 office now, and to see the rededication and what it actually meant, how exciting it is for the rebirth, the regrowth of McDowell area, which my parents, that was their main thoroughfare. It's super exciting, and so I know what it is to feel a connection to these communities, to know how important. I don't take it for granted. I know that how much it matters. The traffic is really, really dangerous for your kids when you're riding your bike. And one of the reasons that I wanted to be the chief of staff and work for District 4 is because of Councilwoman Laura Pastor. I have never seen somebody so dedicated to her community, who's a really open-minded. That I think some of you who have worked with her, she doesn't see all the walls that I see. She sees that something could be different. That we could try something new, and so that's really exciting to see that approach and to see the changes that we can make in our community. So the last few weeks, you've seen City Council has been incredibly. It's been a spotlight. Quite a lot, dealing with a lot of different topics, and I think the council has been working their way through it and can be proud of the work they're doing, as difficult as it has been in the last couple of weeks. It's been disappointing to see, the vision and how difficult it is for our community. Even if you respect everybody's point of view, it's been difficult for us. So I did want to tell you that our office works. We're there 8:30 in the morning till 6, 7 o'clock at night. We expect you to call. We expect you to be mad at us because we passed the pigeon ordinance. And offer us a different point of view. We expect you to call when you have problems with trash, water, fire, police, public safety, pedestrian safety. We get all of our ideas and our directives from the community. And if you don't tell us what you want, it's harder for us to do it. We are very lucky in District 4, probably the most active district in the city. So we have plenty of voices that come our way. And so we're always learning from the community. I did want to give you a couple of different updates, and I'm going to take some questions if you have them, if you want to ask them. But one of the things I wanted you to look at is the City of Phoenix has a street transportation pavement program that's happening right now. And they have an interactive portal which is the phoenix.gov/pavement. It's an accelerated pavement program. They're really investing in our streets and our infrastructure. And there's going to be a lot of really great stuff happening in this community specifically. And it's really, really interesting and fun, interactive thing if you go on it to see it in your own, how it matters in your own community. So I would urge you to go to the City of Phoenix website and to take a look at that. I also wanted to tell you there's an election coming up in August 27th. A couple of different propositions that are going to be on there. Early ballots start arriving July 31st, and the election is on August 27th. A lot of people aren't going to come out and vote for this election because it's kind of an off year and a special election, so keep it on your radar. Be thinking about those things. I did have some conversations, and a presentation was given to me today about the 16th Street and Palm Lane, which is the collective storage. And I think during the proposal, they gave us a really, really good outreach that they have done. So wanted to bring that back to you so that I could see the faces in the crowd and said, no, that I need to know more. But they seem like they've had a lot of community outreach, really want to be a great partner with the community, a community room, art installations, really considering the school that is nearby. And so I think they have done their due diligence. Please let me know if there's something else I need to know about that, because that's going to be coming really quickly and as soon as we come back from the recess. Let me see anything else. So if you had something that you wanted to say now, you could definitely say something about that project or see me afterwards or any other projects that we work closely with. We are here to serve our district. Councilwoman is very clear with her staff that how important her district is to her, and that we should be available to you and answering your questions and offering you solutions when we can. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to hear them and answer them if I can. And if not, certainly I'll get back with you. Sir?
Not a question, just a comment. The street pavement thing you were talking about, I looked at it today, it's really phenomenal. 12th Street from Thomas to McDowell is targeted for 2020. Yeah. And east side of Coronado, pretty much every single street gets repaved.
Yeah,
Not just resurfaced, but like milled and like properly done. So it's posted to the Facebook page, and look down there, link to it, you check out your address and see what's going on.
There's a lot of really exciting stuff. The streets department has been working really, really hard. They were given directive from the city. That's a great plan for 20 years. Let's do it in 5. So they're willing to invest in that. They knew how important it was to the community pushing for that, and so it's exciting to see that work happening now.
They've already started doing something on all the corners, like the curb cuts at 6 a.m.
It's hard to get a lot of work to do. I don't know what to say.
It's gonna make it better, whatever it is.
We had a lot of work to do.
It's hot.
I'm sure.
We had a lot of work to do. And I don't know how much of it I would charge to do that at a different time of day, but it would be a lot. I don't think I would. Any other questions, comments,
I have a
concerns?
question, I just haven't been following it lately, but what's the current status with the city on homelessness and mitigation and support and all this?
So homelessness is an incredible problem for our city. We've seen almost 200% growth from the numbers that I have seen in the last few years. It is a national crisis, a major concern for our city. We mentioned some weeks it's the major thing that we're hearing in our office that people are concerned about. And there's a lot of different facets to homelessness and how it affects different communities and the way people approach it. Phoenix Cares is a program the city of Phoenix is currently using you can call in and get information about what you should do if you're dealing with somebody who is homeless. They can be a good resource. Truth be told, I think we have a lot more work to do, only because it is a problem that is a big problem for us. And I don't know that we know, also in other parts of the country are facing the same challenges. We have a lot of work, in my opinion, have a lot of work to do on that, and the councilwoman has been very focused on it, trying to get more and more resources, more and more information, working, smarter, not harder when it comes to some of these problems that we have. It's an incredible problem, and there's a lot of stuff a lot of information that you can see on the website that talks about what the city of Phoenix is doing. Certainly we can do more. Sir?
Yeah, there's some disconnect from the city. That's just what happens. But have you looked into how Phoenix Cares and collaborations they have with the nonprofits that are local?
So I haven't personally done it. I personally haven't been involved as long as the councilwoman and her district have been involved with Phoenix Cares and homelessness in the city. It is something that she takes on personally because of her background and the work that she's done in other cities and in this city. I think she is pushing for a lot of improvements. I don't think I think she wants to see more when it comes to the work that they do.
I don't want to put you on the spot, and that's not my intent at all. But because CAS got defunded, there were some other issues that happened a couple of years ago. This community was inundated with issues. So we worked through the Block Watch and the association, the community members kind of, banded together to see what we could do. And we tried we utilized Phoenix Cares in some aspects, but a lot of it was voluntary. So if there was an encampment or something that was happening, you called Phoenix Cares, they called Community Bridges, and Community Bridges said, do they want to come? And they said, no. Community Bridges said, okay, best of luck. So I just, not to put you on the spot, just know that is one of the disconnects that are the encampment problem is happening.
Well, I certainly don't want to speak for the councilwoman, but other than knowing that it's super important to her, it's something that she's been working on for a really long time. But there have been changes that I've seen even in the short time that I've been here when it comes to Phoenix Cares, right? We have heard the district, all the districts in the city have heard the concerns that the community has when it comes to the work that we are doing at Phoenix Cares. They have not always been as responsive as they could be. They have not provided the solutions and the immediate needs of the community have not been fulfilled with them. And so I think there has been changes and it's getting better. I think at the direction of the council, with the new leadership and the leadership that's been there, are really, really trying to make it a better program. And there has been changes already, and I hope that you'll start seeing them here shortly.
The only thing I would add to the back end of that is at your level, you have the ability to do a pseudo audit of that program and kind of see full spectrum of how that program works. And if there's a disconnect, which there can be, then maybe address it from that end. But just from my experience, that's what they count.
Yeah, I think the councilwoman has been working on a lot of auditing when it comes to that. Not, she's got a lot of pointed questions when it comes to that particular subject. Do I have a good answer for you?
No,
I do not.
I'm not looking for one.
I don't want to, it's a situation.
Yeah.
And it's not a good one. And we know we have to do better. And I can tell you nobody's pushing harder than the councilwoman. It affects her district in a very, very tough way. I mean, we have a majority of the historic neighborhoods in our district, the most active in every way in our district, politically. So it's really important that we get to work on this and make it better. And I'm hoping in the coming year with the strategic plan that they're putting together, that we're putting together for our office, that we can have better answers than the one I'm giving you right now. Yes, ma'am.
Somebody came from Phoenix Cares and spoke with here about a year ago, I think, and what disturbed me was the lack of compassion that was voiced on the representative's part and some community. This is a systemic problem. It isn't the people who are on the street, it's not just their fault.
No.
It has to do with housing prices, as we all know. But the other question I had was I saw something about parking meters where you don't park and you put money in to donate to a Phoenix Cares
Yes.
project. Can you explain that? I didn't understand that.
So it was a pilot program that was going to be an opportunity for people to give to programs that assist the homeless. I'm not sure what part of the implementation that they're in now, but they have, that is something that is going to be coming to the city of Phoenix.
I just wondered what those programs would be.
Yeah, and when you were talking about how you said they weren't very compassionate, is that what you said?
Yes, we were told that most of the people that are on the street are drug addicts. And, the simple answers that people have for this that allows us to write them off as bums, right? And it's as we all know, a very complex problem that we are all part of. We're all part of the cause and we can all be part of the solution. So that's what I wanted to express.
Absolutely, and I think the councilman shares a lot of your sentiments, but not everybody feels that way all the time. But I would hope that our city staff would have some more compassion, especially if they're working in the area of homelessness.
Yeah, that's what we would hope.
I would hope that, but I mean, I haven't personally experienced it having spoken with them, but if you're asking me to take that back to the councilman, I certainly will bring your comments back to her. I think that would be a concern for her that they weren't expressing that better.
Thank you. Great.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? I really appreciate you all being here and being so active in your communities. You make the city of Phoenix better. You make my job easier because you're so involved. It makes the projects better, everything we do better. And so I appreciate you allowing me to be here today. And I will say afterwards in the back, if you want for me to send something back to the council, I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, I think
Hi, Michael.
Be on the lookout on the CMB and our social media for Miracle Mile. We're looking for folks to take part in the arts and events committees. So we have grant money, and we want to. It's your neighborhood, so we want you to spend it and do what you want with it. So
What about
that's all.
the 3D crosswalks? Are we doing that, or?
We're actually. I'm going to apply for that program.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So I'll talk to you about how to do that.
And if people don't know, how do they get in touch with you if they don't know who you are?
So if you're on Instagram, it's Phoenix, MMMPHX.com.
Cute.
Or Facebook Miracle Mile Merchants, or come see me. I have cards.
Okay.
You're super phone, email like that. Old school.
I do.
Thank you. Someone who's not.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else have anything else they want to cover? All right, thanks all for coming. Just to remind, yes, Annie?
Possible meeting location change next time?
Yes, 50%. We're hoping to collaborate with North High, something we've been working on for quite a while. So we're hoping that our meetings will be held in the Mustang Room at North High. So stay tuned for that. I'll announce it, but TBD. Yes, James.
And last thing, Wayne's Fest and Home Tour are starting to kick off. So if you are interested in any way, shape, or form for volunteering, get a hold of me for Home Tour or Mr. Anderson, Wayne Fest. Are you doing volunteers for that?
Yes.
Okay, Brian. Yeah, so that's it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Abraham. Seriously. Wait.
Abraham.
I am the chair of the Greater Green Gables neighborhood, which is on the other side of the 51, between Thomas and McDowell. We have our neighborhood meeting, which will be next Thursday, and we start at 6 o'clock, and we're at the Creighton Christian Church at 22nd Street at Thomas. So I'm just putting it out there.
And
Next Thursday?
Next Thursday.
There'll be snacks.
Yes.
Yes, we have snacks.
Over there.
Oh.
We have the Wing House Brewery.
Oh.
All right, I guess I'm getting sandwiches next time. All right, so thanks. Please do go to Abraham's meetings. He does a great job. Other than having catered, it's fine. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.